Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You've probably clicked on this video because you want to find out what's been happening with the Rohingya refugee crisis, or you've just clicked to support the kid. Both is good. Both is good. But yeah, in this video, we're going to be unpacking the Rohingya refugee crisis, who are the Rohingya people, what's been happening. So without any more further small talk, let's just start. So firstly, who are the Rohingya people? The Rohingya people are mostly a Muslim ethnic minority based in Myanmar, which is a small country in South Asia. Most of them live within the western coast of the Rakhine state, which is near the Bangladesh border. And they make up a population of about 3 to 3.5 million people. And though Myanmar has a lot of ethnic groups which are quite small and distinct, the Rohingya are seen as relatively more different because they don't really blend and assimilate with the other groups, as they have their own traditions and practices. The Rohingya have their own language, which is similar to a Bengali dialect, whilst most other ethnic groups speak Burmese as their official language. Though a quick disclaimer, with this case, even though there are obvious religious differences in that the Rohingya are mostly Muslim and everyone else is mostly Buddhist, this isn't exclusively a Muslim versus Buddhist issue. There are many people within Myanmar who practice Islam and aren't Rohingya. This conflict is mostly based on the fact that these people are Rohingya ethnically, and though religion does play a part, there are other cultural and historical reasons, which I'll explain soon, as to why the Rohingya people are being persecuted. So why are the Rohingya being persecuted? The answer literally lies within the history, so we'll just go back in time and take it from there. The Rohingya can trace their origins back from the 15th century in this same Rakhine state, where Arab traders came and settled within the region. So it's believed that many of the Rohingyas are descendants of these Arab traders and have lived there till now. Back during those times, Rakhine, which was called Arakan at the time, was an independent kingdom and had many Muslim and Buddhist leaders. Then in 1784, Arakan was conquered by Myanmar, which was called Burma at the time. Later in 1826, Myanmar was made part of the British Empire, as well as the rest of South Asia, which was as fine as colonization could be until World War II. Here, the British were at war with the Japanese, who were the recent invaders to the region, and here is where things started to get a bit tight. Basically, at this point, the Rohingyas sided with the British because the British promised them that if they won the war, that they'll give them the Rakhine state, whereas the rest of Myanmar just fought for full independence away from the British and the Japanese. So eventually, the Myanmars won the war, and with the Myanmars winning, they kind of just thought that the Rohingyas would just kind of leave and go to Bangladesh or somewhere else. But from the Rohingya side, they are actually from Rakhine, which is still in Myanmar, so they're not leaving, and this is when things started getting really hostile. So what next? Winning the war, the Burmese began to officialize their independence by holding an agreement called the Panlong Agreement in 1947, where many of the large ethnic groups such as the Kachin and the Shin were given their own autonomous state within Myanmar. That way everyone can live peacefully, knowing that they have control over their own portion of the country. However, the Rohingya people, who had a population of about 2 million at the time, were not included in this. Myanmar then gained full independence in 1948 and then started issuing its citizens with ID cards. And though the Rohingyas were eligible to ID cards, they were widely seen as foreigners or non-indigenous Myanmar people. And whilst all of this is going on, the Mujahideen movement began, where a Rohingya armed group was fighting the Myanmar government for about 25 years with the aim to join Bangladesh. So come 1962, an Emergency Immigration Act is issued, which limits the rights of individuals from India, Bangladesh and China, including the Rohingya people, and the government starts tracking Rohingya people and seizing their ID cards. In 1978, this escalates to Operation Dragon King, where Rohingya people are officially seen as illegal immigrants. And this is the point where Rohingya people become displaced, where about 200,000 Rohingya people are forced to move across the border to Bangladesh. The government then solidifies this by issuing a law which states, I'm just going to read it, I'll put it on the screen. Section 3 of the Citizenship Law of 1982 states, only members of ethnic groups that settled prior to 1823 are automatically eligible for Myanmar citizenship. If they are descendants of Myanmar citizens that entered prior to 1948, then they can apply for naturalization if they can submit strong evidence for their case. So that law basically explains that if you weren't in the country before the British started dabbling into their country, then you're not eligible for citizenship. And because the Rohingya people had their ID cards stolen, which was their proof to show that they were from Rakhine, they're not eligible for Myanmar's citizenship. So since then, there's been a lot of conflict, a lot of fighting, a lot of protest, until we've got to this stage where we're at like ethnic cleansing. So in 1991, the Myanmar's military launched Operation Hiya, or Clean and Beautiful Nation, where soldiers commit widespread violence and over 250,000 Rohingya people flee over to Bangladesh. Shortly after, the Rohingya National Army is formed, which allegedly is supported by Al-Qaeda. Don't know much about that. I'll just leave that there. And in 2014, the Rohingya people were excluded from the Myanmar's census. 2015 comes around and the Rohingyas receive a new ID card which states that they're legal immigrants from Bangladesh and they're declined the right to vote. In 2016, a group of Rohingya men attacked Burmese police officers, in which 9 officers were killed. In 2017, the military responded with a wide crackdown on all Rohingya villages in Rakhine, which triggered the most recent refugee crisis where 86,000 Rohingya people fled to Bangladesh. Here's where things started making international headlines. So what now? Today, there are more than 914,000 Rohingya people living within refugee camps, one of which is the Kutupalong camp in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, which is now the largest refugee camp in the world. Many also live in neighbouring India, Thailand and Malaysia. A lot of Rohingya people have also been stranded at sea because there's so many of them. A lot of the neighbouring countries are reluctant to take them in. So yeah, that's it for today's video. If you found this interesting or somewhat useful or learned a thing or two, please do give this video a like. And if you are already a lot more clued up than I am and you feel like I've missed out a thing or two, please do give us a comment, as I'd love to learn more about the conflict and what's going on. Ways to help and donate are below. And until next time, stay blessed and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.